So I'm going to be very clear. The reason we're making this video talking about these two guys is because they both happen to be playing for teams that wear the color orange. That's literally the only link between these two, but also it's the fact that I don't think we can't go out there and make full-length videos about these guys. Their stories aren't really too deep. I just wanted to briefly touch upon what's been going on, because there are two players in the Pacific Division that I do think are worth highlighting, and the second one actually does have a second team that is also kind of floating around the conversation too. You already know from the title, from the thumbnail, but I wanted to talk about the Oilers and Vasili Podkolzin to start things off. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about Podkolzin is because of a bunch of discourse we have seen from Vancouver Canucks fans in particular about this Edmonton Oilers player. Obviously, for Canucks fans, we kind of have an affinity towards Podkolzin because he was this top 10 pick. He was a prospect for Vancouver for so long. He eventually made himself known onto the team and had a reasonably good rookie season in 21-22, 26 points, 79 games played, 14 goals. Podkolzin, back in the Hlinka Gretzky tournament in 2018, was a monster. He was the captain of that U18 team, and he led the tournament in goals that year. There was a lot to look forward to out of Podkolzin and his profile based off of this showing. But the problem was, he didn't really show much of that production anywhere else throughout his hockey-playing career, and some Canucks fans, like myself, started to use that as a little bit of a red flag. Okay, sure, Podkolzin was drafted top 10, he was projected to go 3rd overall by some people after that Hlinka Gretzky tournament, but did the Canucks get themselves a steal by drafting themselves a guy who was that highly touted that later on in the draft? I was personally salty that they didn't draft Cole Caulfield, especially since Caulfield decided to start scoring a hell of a lot of goals in the NCAA. But for Podkolzin, he didn't really have that same success. There was always, however, an excuse. Hey, he's bouncing around to 5-6 different teams throughout different playoff rounds and different tournaments. He wasn't able to get any consistency. Okay, that's a fair argument. Okay, the next year he was playing as a young guy on SKA St. Petersburg. He's not getting any minutes. Okay, that's a real excuse. And then the next year, he had a 26-point season with Vancouver, which was actually great. And then he kind of declined as the years went on. Last year, he had 2 points in 19 Vancouver Canucks games. This year, after getting traded over to the Oil, he's got 2 points in 11 games over there. 15 assists is the total point production pace that he is on in 24-25. And as a result, you're seeing some Canucks fans be a little bit snarky about Pods, talking about him like this. Cole, Niels Hoglander, obviously a Canucks fan account, went out there and tweeted this, saying that Pods is seriously looking like a straight-up bust. It's crazy how much worse he has gotten since that rookie year. He might not even be an NHL player. This was from a few days ago, when the Oilers only had 10 games played. Podkolzin had 1 assist. And a lot of people in the replies, this one over here, obviously a Canucks fan based off of the username. What blew my mind was that in his draft year, these were his stats in Russia. Usually draft-eligible juniors put up big numbers in the CHL. He played 17 games that year and went 10th. That is extremely, extremely misleading, and I don't think that's correct at all. Podkolzin had a very strange development path in the junior system, and not even just strictly the junior system. He had played KHL and VHL games in his draft-eligible year and was bouncing around to pretty much 7 different teams. So I don't think it's fair to say at all, oh yeah, junior players in the CHL produce a lot and Podkolzin didn't, therefore he's worse. He was always going to be a top pick. Straight up. It's just now, with the Edmonton Oilers, even though Canucks fans are getting a little bit snarky about these numbers, the fact is, I'm seeing a lot of Oilers fans actually be very satisfied with the game that Podkolzin brings. Not only did he have an assist yesterday against the Nashville Predators, but he also had himself a really big fight, popping Jeremy Lauzon with a bomb. Jeremy Lauzon can throw. He was the league record-holding hitter last year, and he ended up fighting with Podkolzin during yesterday's showdown. Pods ends up just wailing on the guy. There you go, right in the cheek. He causes him to fall down, and you can see at the beginning of the clip, Lauzon is just kind of wailing on him. He's like going, multiple punches, and then Pods just wakes up and he says, okay, enough of this. I'm just gonna go. Boom, 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 you're done. Vasili Podkolzin is a warrior. And I think a lot of Oilers fans have been very happy and pleased with his bottom 6 caliber play because of the things that made him such a strong Vancouver Canucks player. His hard forechecking ability, his relentlessness, and even though he lacks a lot of let's just say, offensively leaning puck skills. He lacks the confidence to drive to the net. He lacks the confidence to try to take meaningful shots himself. He always defers to passing to guys like Leon Draisaitl. Even though that's the case, Podkolzin still brings enough tools to be an effective bottom six player. You just hope that for his sake, because he is only 23 years old, that he's able to kind of round out that offense and bring more of that package to the table, because it's what made him a top 10 pick in the first place. He was so good at producing against his own age range and in that Hlinka Gretzky tournament that a lot of people were thinking, hey, this guy could become, let's say, a 25, 30 goal scorer with maybe 60, 70 point upside potential if he continues progressing like he did all those years ago. But now, he's declining from that rookie season, so all we got to do is hope that at some point there is a bigger role for Podkolzin offensively that he's able to tap into. Anyways, sticking with orange teams in the Pacific Division, I also wanted to talk about a guy on the Anaheim Ducks. It is once again Cutter Gauthier, and the reason we're bringing him up is because of some of the discourse we have seen from Philadelphia Flyers fans earlier last night. Now, Cutter Gauthier, 20 years old, he's not as old as Podkolzin is, but he definitely did have higher draft pedigree. Gauthier has 4 points in 10 games right now for the Anaheim Ducks in 24-25. The interesting thing about that is he actually could have gotten his first NHL goal twice yesterday against the Pittsburgh Penguins, but he did get stoned. He did get a little bit unlucky. He did, however, have an assist on the only Anaheim goal scored on the game. But even though Cutter Gauthier has been looking good, Trevor Zegras plays well with Cutter Gauthier. You're seeing these kinds of points being made. 1 point, 1 assist, 5 shots, 14-44. Just missed his first goal tonight. We are seeing a lot of people talking about, hey, once he gets one, the floodgates will open. He's getting loads of chances. He was fantastic. He was just unlucky tonight. He got hooked and they should have been in the power play. Cutter Gauthier has been playing well, and Ducks fans are very satisfied. But the reason people are talking about Cutter Gauthier today is because of the overtime goal that was scored by none other than Sidney Crosby in this Pittsburgh Penguins victory. It's Cutter Gauthier who has the puck on the sideboards. He's right there. Freshness and savings are our top pairing, as written out by the giant Eagle advertisement on the boards. Cutter Gauthier is right there. He fumbles the puck. It gets turned over, and Sidney Crosby is able to take the puck in on Lucas Dostal. He pivots, stops extremely hard right there at the slot, dangles the pants off of the goalie, he falls down, and Crosby ends up scoring. It's a Cutter Gauthier turnover, which leads to Sidney Crosby getting the goal. Cutter Gauthier still has no goals in 10 games and turned it over in OT tonight to lose the game if you're keeping track. This was posted by Flyers Nation, and the funny part is, people are pointing out the irony that Flyers fans hate that kid so much that they're willingly posting Sidney Crosby game-winning goal highlights. I have seen it all. And of course, this is a Penguins Twitter account. So funny here that Flyers fans are hating on Cutter Gauthier so much that they can go so far to post Sidney Crosby highlights. So while it is true that Gauthier has had a pretty reasonably okay season, I think a lot of Ducks fans are happy with the way he's been performing. There's chemistry there. He's been getting chances. He just hasn't bit the bullet yet and scored that first goal. There still are reasons to poke fun at the guy, and Philadelphia Flyers fans are finding very easy ways to do that. So I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Firstly, about Vasili Podkolzin and his progression with the Oilers. I guess you could say we talked about 4 teams here: the Oilers, the Canucks, the Flyers, and the Ducks. What are your thoughts on Podkolzin and the way he's been progressing for Edmonton? What are your thoughts on Cutter Gauthier and the way he has progressed for Anaheim? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.